going. How you doing, my friend?
Fucking been better, man.
Yeah, no shit. For those watching, Raj looks like a little bit of a cripple.
And extremely high.
We were talking about a bit before the pub. You want to fill everybody in about what's going on with you?
So those who know me, known I just came off a left shoulder injury that was like 2 years long. Doctors couldn't figure out essentially where to put the cortisone.
So, what was the injury?
So it's calcium deposits caused from tendonitis.
Okay.
And
Is that tendonitis as a result of something?
don't know what the tendonitis is from.
Okay.
No idea. And they show you the x-ray, like you can see the ball in my right shoulder. And
How big is the ball?
so here's the thing, like on the weekend. Okay, I'm gonna back this weekend up all the way from the beginning,
Yeah, do it.
and then we'll get to the shoulder thing. So long weekend, obviously everyone Labor Day weekend, right? Everyone's pumped to go out and do whatever, right? So I seen you Friday morning, right?
Yep.
And I ended up eating about 500 milligrams of THC.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right. So I was feeling pretty good.
You were getting lit when I was leaving.
Yeah. And then we went up the hill for a barbecue.
Yep.
Right. Good times. And got the big, I believe that was the Lakers-Houston Game 1.
Yep.
And it was also Canucks Game 7.
Yep.
Right. So super stoked, whatever, right?
Good little afternoon.
So I'm like, obviously I'll watch basketball live, tape hockey. So talk to my dad. I'm like, don't tell me anything about the game. I'm taping it. I'm going to watch it later on. And we're joking like, oh, how he's going to ruin it for me and shit, right?
Yeah.
So watching the game, we had plans for the Saturday night. We were just talking about what we were going to do, what time we were going out, cabs, blah, 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 right?
What were you going to do Saturday?
Housewarming. Friends got a house, so they're having people over.
Nice.
And so we're like, she's like, oh, let's go 6 o'clock. And I'm like, no. Raptors game's on at 3:30. It's not going to probably be over till about 6:30. We'll go after that, right? We're going to get a ride from the girl.
Nice.
Agrees to it.
Yep.
Right? I even double checked if they had my channel for the second game. If not, I was just going to bring my tablet because I can't miss that shit, right?
Yeah.
And they ended up having the channel. Cool, whatever. We'll see you at the second game, right? The second game was 6 o'clock game. Gets pushed whatever later.
Yeah.
The Raptors game went late. So agree to all this. And then she proceeds to tell me the fucking Canucks lost. She's like on her phone. She's like, oh, wow, Twitter's going in the Canucks, they lost. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? I say, what the fuck are you doing? And she's like, oh, I didn't mean it. Okay, for those who don't know, like sports is like pretty huge to me. I don't care how ridiculous I sound right now.
No. That is
But
huge,
like,
dude.
it's like pretty much my life. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing I follow. Game 7, Canucks haven't been in the playoffs since 2011.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a long time coming, right?
Yeah, second round.
So I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And she's like, I didn't mean to. And like, I shot her this look, bro. Like, if looks could kill, right? Straight up. I shot her this look, and I'm just like, super disappointed. I was doing laundry. Well, I go down and do laundry, come up, she's gone, right?
Yeah.
And so next day I got shit to do, and knowing that we're going out, I'm like, I can't be this bitter like all day. You know what I'm saying? I gotta let it go, right?
You be a little bitch about it all day long.
Yeah, for sure, right? You know what I mean?
You get your night.
And so whatever, I knew this, and I was like, okay, obviously whatever, it is what it is, and go do all my shit, come home, Raps game's on, 3:30, right?
Yeah.
Chilling, smoking, watching the game. Already ready to go out, already shaved and showered and everything. I was just chilling, just gotta I have to get dressed, a few last minute things, right?
Yeah, 'cause you're a picky bitch when it comes to going out.
Oh yeah. So probably halfway through the fourth, she's like, oh, so-and-so going to be here in a few minutes. We got to go. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, I told you yesterday. I'm not going to watch a whole game, especially the Raptors, my team, and then leave right at the end of the fourth quarter. Who does that? Nobody does that ever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, we agreed to this. And she didn't remember, right? Mm-hmm. So it doesn't mean it didn't happen because you didn't remember, though. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, what the fuck? She's like, I gotta go. So she leaves. And I'm just chilling here. I'm like, what the fuck, right? Super bitter now, obviously. And
You got all dolphined up for nothing.
well, whatever. That doesn't even matter. I'm just like, how the
Buddy,
fuck can
getting
we
dolphin
agree?
takes a long time.
How do we agree? And then all of a sudden you leave. Now, if the tables were turned and I left without her, you think I'd fucking hear the end of this
It'll be
shit?
hell to pay.
You know what I'm saying? So whatever, bitter. She, I go to bed. She comes home whatever time. I don't know. And next morning, she's like, "Why are you mad at me?" And I'm like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I'm like, "You left without me, and you fucking told me the Canucks lost." Like, listen, I'm gonna throw that in there too. I ain't forget about it. I'm over it, but I ain't forget, dog. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So you know how they be doing that though.
Oh yeah.
So
You sounded real feminine here, bro.
I had one loaded.
Going
bro,
real
don't worry.
bitch right now.
No. So I'm like,
No, don't even no me.
I'm like, you fucking left without me, even though we agreed to go at a certain time. All of a sudden, you couldn't go, and like I said, the Canuck game, and she's like, even though like she's like 1,000% in the wrong, she's got to double down and say like other stupid things and not just say, "Hey, I'm sorry." You know what I'm saying? So I was just like, super fucking bitter. Cool. Now, in the midst of all this, I kind of like very lightly bumped my shoulder on the wall. Like, you know how when you kind of take the corner and you kind of nick the nick the wall. So I nicked it. I'm just like, kind of hurt way too much for that
Just a little
small
nick
of a bump, right? So whatever, kind of brush it off. And come, I guess yesterday, super bad. It's killing me and shit. I try and go to sleep last night. Couldn't even fall asleep. I'm like screaming. Every which way I moved, it was just like fucking literally.
This is your
killing
right
me, bro.
shoulder.
Yeah, my right shoulder. And so I was like, fuck this. I gotta go to the hospital. And like, again, for those who know me, I only go to the doctors if I'm like pretty much dying. Like, you know,
Yep.
I won't go. There's no way I could wait it out. So I go there. They tell me what's wrong. Give me a shot of Torderol, I think it's called, and some T3s. So the bitch sticks me with the thing, and she's like, "Who's picking you up?" I'm like, "I'm driving." She's like, "Oh fuck." I'm just like, "I'm just a few minutes from here, literally," which I am, right?
Yeah.
So she's like, "Okay, fine, you can drive." And thank fucking God, I came home. It was like 6 a.m, passed out, and now I have to wait to go see the doctor to see what the fuck's going on.
So, give a little backstory with it too. Like, you had this injury on your other shoulder
For 2 years, yeah.
and how did that get resolved? Because you're better with
It
on that
was
shoulder
like-
now, right?
It was like 5 cortisone shots before it got fixed. So it was like a year and a half. But it was like a worst year and a half ever. You're like, it's like you have knives in your shoulder every fucking day.
Yeah, but
Real.
explain to me like how the cortisol shots is just kind of random chance whether they hit or not.
Well, this is the issue I had with it because like I'm basically a fucking pincushion.
Yeah.
Right? They'll look at the MRI and they're like guessing. So literally, they stuck me in the tendon
Yeah.
and they worked all the way down till they got to my AC joint.
Yeah.
And then they did 2 in the AC joint, and that fucking never had pain ever again.
And then that killed it.
So, but like I was saying too, off air, that shit's not good for you at all.
Yeah.
Destroys your tissues. I know a lot of athletes get it, but
My pop's got at one point.
that shit's hit and miss with me.
his
It
entire-
doesn't work all the time.
He got in his neck, and his entire neck like flared up crazy red, and it was brutal for him. He said, "You're saying the same thing, that it hurts like a bitch."
It feels like fire in a needle. It looks burns.
Yeah, no shit, right?
So that's awesome. So I can't go till Thursday, and like meanwhile, like I can't do fucking anything without fucking screaming, bro. It's fucking weak. And if I have to do this for a year and a half, real talk, I'm gonna be a bitter fucking dude.
You're no doubt.
So
Maybe some
how was
angry podcasts coming up right now.
Oh yeah, how was your weekend? Obviously better than mine.
Yeah, I got crunk all weekend.
Yeah, dope. How
I was up in Vernon with my buddy. It's funny too. We I really like driving when it comes to like on road trips, and just I like driving. Right, we get there. We pull up to my buddy's place who lives up here, actually, like 230th, right?
Yeah.
And there was 5 of us who went. Me, 2 of my buddies, his girl, and another girl. And they're like, "Oh, we're gonna carpool," and I figure like, "Oh, we'll just take 2 cars," type deal, right? And I get there like, no, we're all getting one trip, like, into one car. We're gonna road trip this thing, like we're a little family drive. Like, we're all cramming into this bitch.
What kind of vehicle?
It's like an old Toyota Tacoma. Well, not old. It's like a 2005 Toyota Tacoma.
No.
Oh no,
I'll pass.
No, but they're like guilt me into it. They're like, we never spent time together. It'll be a fun road trip, right? I'm like, oh yeah, okay, sure, whatever. Get into it. Pile up our stuff and get it. No AC. So we're stuck in the car driving up to Vernon with no AC.
Nice hot weekend too.
Oh yeah, some real sticky back action. But it was fun. We ended up like literally just getting crunk and playing card games the entire time. It was chill.
When did you get back?
We got back last night at like midnight.
Nice. Oh, that late, eh?
Not really, dude. I was
How come so late?
because there was like an accident on the middle of the Coquihalla, and then there's traffic literally from the top of the Coke all the way home. It was brutal.
We made a game. We bet on how many fatalities this long weekend for like road trips. So, and I can't remember if we bet or not. We also thought we were talking about the Chicago shootings, how many over a weekend. But yeah, that's the sick and twisted games we played. Nah.
Honestly, if I'm gonna sit in traffic, somebody would be dead.
I get a text.
You know what I mean?
I get a text. One down in the Massey Tunnel. I'm just laughing.
The over's looking good, bro.
So, we'll find out who wins. I guess I gotta get the numbers on that. But
That's hilarious.
yeah, so you gotta hit the number. You don't win.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but yeah, that was my weekend, bro.
Yeah, nice.
So we were thinking for this week we wanted to do a big NFL preview because the season's starting.
Deep dive, son.
Yes, sir. Before we get going, I want to give a quick shout out to my man Odell Beckham. Big fan of the Alaskan pipeline, as it were. Do you know what that is?
No, speak to me.
So you know, like up in Alaska, right? Like oil or whatever, because crude oil looks all like brown and shit, right? It's gross. So when it flows through pipes, like sometimes shit gets frozen, right? You know what I mean? So the Alaskan pipeline is a highly difficult sex move where a dude shits into a condom, proceeds to freeze said condom,
Whoa, this is way left.
and then uses that frozen shit to fuck his girl.
I'm out.
Buddy, this is a staple in white culture. Have you never heard of the Alaskan pipeline?
So you want to get all over us because we rape a couple bitches, but you're gonna Alaska pipeline somebody, man?
Buddy, at least it's consensual. Don't even talk to me about you're being better than me.
I don't know, man. That's one of the most disgusting things I've
But
ever
apparently, the Alaskan pipeline is breaking down cultural barriers because my man Odell enjoys the same thing.
heard. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
You believe it, though, eh?
I do believe it. Just like the way it
I
was
don't.
said. So it's Young Thug's baby mama, for those who don't know, said that Odell, as she put it, likes getting shitted on. Now, her reputability as a source is obviously takes a hit just because of the way she used shit in the past tense. Shitted. Takes a little bit of a knock, but I think I believe her.
I don't know, like, you know who, that Selena Powell, I think her name is? You know who that is?
No, I've heard the name, though.
She's made all these wild accusations for years on different dudes.
Yeah.
And they've all been not true.
Really?
So, and she's even come out and even said that she was lying. So, I don't know. I think people just do it for chasing clout, man. Like, I'm not saying it didn't happen, but if I had to guess, I think it's a lie. Like I said too off air, if he was going to do it, let's say he was really into that shit,
Yeah.
you would pay a professional because professionals don't talk.
But maybe if it just wasn't, he was doing it with professionals, but it didn't feel right. He wanted some girl to just do it naturally. You know what I mean? Not because he's getting paid to do it.
Everyone also says that guy's gay.
Yeah.
So there's a whole lot of rumors around that guy.
I think it's because he's such an alpha dog that he kind of likes to express himself differently, and he wants to be dominated in the bedroom. I can believe it.
I know there's been some questionable, maybe pics or comments on pics. I know there's been a few things that would raise an eyebrow, but I ain't buying it.
His most recent Instagram post was nothing can knock me off my nothing can pivot me off my pedestal, no matter what shit is thrown my way. I thought that was hilarious. Just rolling with it.
I ain't buying it. We'll see what happens, I guess. But
the one thing that
I mean, how do you even prove that it's true or not, though? Too, right?
Yeah, it's just his word versus hers. But the one thing that was the girl, not good looking.
Yeah.
At all. A gross set of teeth. So I don't know why Young Thug was all up in that.
But it was his baby mom's, you said, right? So maybe that was like a long time ago.
Oh, I guess okay, that makes sense.
I don't even know who it is, but that's just a guess.
It's called Slim Danger or something. I don't know. Either way,
Oh my god, I think I do know who that is. Yeah.
she's a weird looking girl.
Yeah, not my type. I'll say
No,
that.
I don't think anybody's type, to be really honest. She's the only person who shitted on dudes, though.
But yet here we are talking about it, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's something. I
Goddamn
believe
Slim
it.
Danger.
Let's get into some NFL. How do you want to do this? Do you want to go division by division?
Sure. Oh, yo, before we start this,
Yeah.
we never got into it. I just wanted to Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Would you look at? I never seen any. I don't watch movies, but I never seen any of his movies. Did you watch Black Panther?
I did watch Black Panther.
Were you a fan or what?
Yeah, I was really a fan of the movie itself.
Were they all black in that movie?
They were pretty much
Okay,
everybody.
okay.
I think every single cast member was, but he didn't blow me away in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the reasons why the reason why this is such a tragedy is everything he did outside of acting. How good of a person he was, all of his...
Well, helping all those cancer kids.
It's ridiculous.
Knowing that you have it. And
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's pretty nutty.
It's wild. And that's why he's so loved and so missed. As an actor, some of his other movies are really good. I wasn't a huge fan of him in Black Panther, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. Well, he
rest in
played,
peace to a really good person.
He played black icons like Jackie Robinson, James Brown. And like I said, he's hit it since 2016.
Yeah.
And then also, Concern had poured out a little while back when he posted a video and he was mad skinny.
Yeah.
People are like, what the fuck's going on? Maybe they thought it was for like a role coming up or whatever. But
this is what I wanted to touch on was there was like when those photos came out, a lot of people like were roasting the guy, saying like, oh, you're losing weight, you're unhealthy, all this shit. And it's one of those things where like, don't open your mouth unless you know the full story. You don't really know what people are going through. And now looking back at it, those guys look like absolute asshats.
Yeah. Well,
he's dying of cancer, and you're making fun of him for his weight. Like,
there's always going to be people like that, though. You know what I'm saying? And I just wanted to mention something because I know, like I said, I haven't seen any of his movies, but obviously he left an imprint in Hollywood.
Oh, huge
So,
imprint.
Yeah.
So
and working like a dog too through all this whole thing.
Yeah,
Like,
man.
obviously, you're banking for your family, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and to have all this stuff going on, you dying, and you helping all the sick kids. It's pretty remarkable. It shows you the character of the
doing
guy.
that and filming Black Panther, the Avengers movies, all of his other stuff. Wow, like that's crazy.
Yeah. So that's too bad.
Yeah, rest in peace.
43 or something, pretty young. Yeah,
Very
he
young.
was 43.
Very, very young.
So
was
and it was
good.
colon cancer.
Yeah.
Like you got to get that checked at 50, I think.
Yeah,
for
get
men, right?
get your shitter checked for sure.
So I know you be getting yours checked every weekend by them dudes, but whatever.
Buddy, I do it every week in the shower. How
Buddy's
do you think
like,
I
"No,
clean
you
it
good,
yourself?"
dog.
Raj is offering them out of his house for free. I don't know what I'm feeling for, but I'll feel.
Alaskan Highway, son.
It's the Alaskan pipeline.
Oh, pipeline. Yeah. See how you corrected me because you knew all that shit. It's like pipeline. Get it right, son.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's do this. Start AFC West.
Yeah, do you want to go like your thoughts, my thoughts?
Yeah, I got a mini synopsis on every team, and then we can talk about each other's opinions. You want to do that?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So, first team, Denver Broncos. They finished 7-9 last year. They hired Pat Shurmur for a new offensive coordinator.
Yep.
Cortland Sutton's coming off a Pro Bowl campaign.
Yep.
They also drafted Jerry Jeudy, which he's going to be sick route runner already.
Mm-hmm. He's giving Drew Lock options.
So, for sure. And they also have Noah Fant and Nick Van Nett on tight ends. Mm-hmm. And the running backs, they have Lindsey, and remember they picked up Melvin Gordon.
Yep.
Chargers first round pick. So they got a lot of weapons, giving Drew Lock
a real chance.
for sure. Defense, Vic Fangio system on defense, which I'm a big fan of his.
Vic Fangio's unreal.
They got rid of Chris Harris Jr., but they picked up AJ Bouye from Jacksonville.
Yep.
And they also picked up Jarrell Casey, which I don't know how they got that from Titans for a 7th-round pick, but and then you got Von Miller.
John Elway's so good, dude. He's such a good GM.
So they made a lot of moves, and also their safety tandems are some of the best in the NFL too.
Mm-hmm. You see that Von Miller went out today though. He has to have surgery.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, it just went out today.
For
So season-ending surgery. I think it's ACL.
Oh, season ending.
Yeah,
season
that's
ending.
it. He's out,
Oh,
which is brutal.
wow.
Let me see exactly what it is.
So they finished 7-9. I think I got them for 10-6 this year. They play the 12th toughest strength of schedule.
Yeah.
But like I said, they got talent on both sides of the ball. I think they're on the up for sure. What do you think?
Big time. Just to confirm this, it was an ankle injury, sorry, not ACL.
And it is season.
End of the season, suffering a freak ankle injury. For me, Denver's the AFC West is I think kind of low key, probably the deepest division in the NFL. The only argument is the NFC West. Those are, I think, the two deepest divisions in the NFL.
I agree on the West for sure.
Last year, the Broncos ended 4-1 with Drew Lock. They ended the season very, very strongly. And this is just that year of they're putting pieces in place, and can Drew Lock, take that next step and continue? I think he proved that he can play, and so the pressure is kind of off to prove that you can play. And so now it's just a matter of settling into the system, playing. It sucks not having preseason just to get a couple more reps in because he still hasn't played a full season, right?
Right.
Obviously, I think the Chiefs are going to win the division, but I think it's between the Broncos and Chargers.
How many wins are you thinking for them?
For the Broncos, for me, it's anywhere between 7 and 9, just depending on how. I literally think the games with the Chargers are gonna be the deciding games. I think those two teams are so close. I also think the Raiders are getting overlooked. I think they're a very strong team. They're just in a really, really stacked division. So it's going to be tough, but I think the divisional games, I want to say 9. On the way here in the car, I was really debating who I'm going to say is coming in second place in this division, and I was going back and forth. And I think I got to give the edge to the Broncos just because I trust in Drew Lock more than I do Tyrod Taylor and Justin Herbert. So I'm going to say 9-7 for the Broncos.
9-7, okay.
And wild card seed. What about you?
We got that extra playoff spot.
That's what I mean.
This year too.
I think they pick up that on that.
I think they're going to go 10-6.
Okay.
Now the Chiefs, they were 12-4 last year. They're returning 22 of 24 starters, which is huge.
Massive.
So, and they had 177 million in cap space and turned that into a $500 million extension for Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
Extended Kelsey, and signed Chris Jones. So that's pretty stupid.
We talked about this a couple times. The Chiefs have a window of about 2-3 years to really pick up another Super Bowl. And apart from really the Ravens, the Saints, there's not really a lot standing in their way, in my opinion. Really just the Ravens. So I think they can do it. I think this team is unreal. I think it's stacked. I think it's going to be better than it was last year just because there's no pressure on anymore. Like, there's so many teams that need to get over the hump, and players that, once they have success, then they're really just free to relax and really play their game. And I think Patrick Mahomes is going to be the exact same. I think he's going to settle in. I think he's going to get even better this year. There's no way they don't win this division.
They replaced Damian Williams with Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the end of the first round. He's going to be huge this year. Mm-hmm. I expect him catching a lot of balls from Mahomes. So the defense allowed on average 16 points per game, and they've scored fewer than 16 in one Pat Mahomes start.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they do 13-3.
I think it all depends on how complacent they are at the beginning of the season. I think there could be a couple games they lose early on, like they play the Ravens in the third game of the season, and then they play the Bills in the fifth game of the season. Those are two games that I think they could lose, just out of sheer just complacency. You know what I mean? Being Super Bowl champs, especially in a city like KC where they haven't won in forever. Like, yes, COVID's happened and they haven't really been able to party in the same way they normally would, but it's been all good times this offseason. I don't know how
I think
quickly they got back to the grindstone, as it were.
I think the opposite. I think they're coming out rolling just because they brought so many familiar guys back in the system. Everyone knows their roles. I think they come out. I don't know about the Ravens in the third game of the year, but I think they come out rolling.
I think they get washed by the Ravens in the third game. I think they lose to the Bills. And then the only two other games that I worry about really are the Buccaneers and Saints late in the season. But I think they'll probably go 1-1 in that, and then maybe they lose a weird one somewhere in there. So I think 12-4.
12-4.
Yeah.
Nice. Moving on to the Chargers.
Okay. This is a team. You go for it first.
They finished 5-11 last year. They got Tyrod Taylor, and they also drafted 6th overall Justin Herbert from Oregon. And they made a lot of offseason moves.
Huge.
They brought in Trey Turner, right tackle Balaga, defensive tackle Linval Joseph from the Vikings, who is a great run stopper, and Chris Harris Jr. So they're definitely bringing in weapons. I like their team.
I do too.
Taylor doesn't maybe have the greatest arm, but he's definitely mobile. Austin Eckler I really like. I mean, you can see why they got rid of Gordon.
Yep.
So, and in my opinion, Keenan Allen is the most underrated wide receiver in the league. I think
he is so incredibly underrated. It's wild.
He had 1,200 yards and 6 touchdowns last year. So, I don't know. Yeah. And they also, they got Hunter Henry too as a tight end.
Yep.
So, they got a lot of weapons. And obviously the Bosa.
Mm-hmm.
So, the only heartbreaking story here is Derwin James again gets injured. He literally could be Defensive Player of the Year this year.
He got injured last year too, right?
Yeah, he missed 11 games last year. So
that's so rough.
That's huge, and it will probably hurt them. But I think they can get 10 wins this year.
You think so? So you think they do better than? Oh, so you think? So if you think Broncos are getting 10 wins, Chargers are getting 10 wins, who do you think wins that tiebreaker?
That's tough.
Right?
So hard to, because I don't know how they're going to play injuries and all that shit, you know what I mean? But maybe I'd give the edge to Denver.
Yep, I think so too.
So
one thing I want to touch on is just the Justin Herbert situation, and I'm going to echo this a couple times with some other teams. But I'm a big believer when it comes to rookie quarterbacks of not having to play your rookie quarterback as soon as they get drafted. I'm a huge fan of letting them sit behind. It doesn't have to be someone great, but even just a journeyman quarterback. You look at Patrick Mahomes did it. Lamar Jackson did it. Apart from Andrew Luck, in recent memory, who's been the quarterback that has come in and said, a rookie quarterback that's come in and saved a team? You have to start right now. You have to win right now. There's almost no rookie quarterbacks who do that successfully.
Russell Wilson did it.
Russell Wilson, Andrew Luck, who else?
Aaron Rodgers.
But that, you know, in recent memory, there's, what, 2 out of how many that have come into the league? So I think being able to sit behind Tyrod Taylor and learn if it's a full season, if it's half a season, if they start to slide again, whatever it is, I love doing that. That's also why when we get into it later, I love the Tua situation in Miami. I love that they name Ryan Fitzpatrick as the starter because it allows Tua to just come in and not be in a Joe Burrow situation where bad habits start, he doesn't get to learn and actually ease himself into it, because it's such a crazy jump going from college to the pros.
For sure.
And people discount that and don't realize that so much of the time, that the NFL is so much harder than college. You can get away with so much in college. You got guys who are never going to play football again, and they're starting on starting lineups in college teams. So I'm really the Chargers are one of those teams that I always want them to do well, just because they have such a shit fan base.
Yeah. And
they always seem to have talent.
Well, in LA anyway. San Diego, they had a good fan base. But LA, not happening.
They always seem to have talent, and they just always underperform. So they're kind of one of my teams that I'm always rooting for. And I'm really happy with the Justin Herbert situation. So I hope they do well. I think they're gonna. I think they'll probably end up 8-8.
Yeah.
I think they'll end up 8-8. I don't have as much faith in them as you do. I don't know that Tyrod Taylor can really win games for them.
I think
consistently against good teams.
I think they challenge for one of the wild card spots even.
Yeah, they'll definitely be in the mix, but I think they fall a little short. Just.
And next we got the Raiders.
Yep. What is your opinion on Derek Carr?
Yeah,
I think
he's not outstanding or anything, but he's all right.
I think he's solid and gets treated like he's shit. You all right? Do you want me to grab it for you? I think he's, like I said, he's a solid quarterback that's coachable, that's serviceable, but he gets treated and thrown in with some of the shit, the worst quarterback. He gets lumped in with quarterbacks who are worse than him, and I think it's unfair.
Well, this is going to be the year where he's going to have to put up something, though. I know they brought in Mariota, but he got hurt. Excuse me, sorry. They got Ruggs.
Mm-hmm.
They got Brian Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best offensive lines in the league. It is kind of put up or shut up for the Carr.
Yep.
They finished pretty strong last year. Gruden's got a good thing going there, but I think, I still call them Oakland Raiders, but moving to Las Vegas, I think it's just too much.
Yep.
To do the move, have a successful season. I don't know. Raiders.
It's really hard to move and be successful.
They got Cleveland Farrell, which I don't mind.
But
I think in like maybe around 9 wins for these guys.
Really?
Yeah.
I think just like I said, I'm a fan of Derek Carr, but I think that they're playing in such a deep division, and their four of their first 6 games are the Saints, Bills, Chiefs, Raiders. Sorry, Buccaneers. That's brutal. So you could start off the season 2-4, very, very realistically.
For sure.
And I think you're playing in such a stacked division that they're just not going to be able to. I'm thinking like 5 or 6 wins.
I think they're going to be way better than last year, for sure.
I think that's one of those things where like they could challenge for a divisional title if they were in any other division. But I think just being in this one, it's just too hard.
Yeah.
I agree, though, it's really hard to be successful when you first move.
Now, you want to do the AFC South?
Which works for me.
Go ahead.
I think this is the most mediocre division in football. I think it's just a lot of meh teams. Obviously, Deshaun Watson is on the Texans is unreal, but apart from that, everyone is just very, very meh.
I think Indianapolis is going to shock a lot of people this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Tennessee too. They signed Clowney. I think they're going to do better this year. I'm not sold on Tannehill though, but I am on Henry and their defense. So
Henry is unreal.
So
let's start on Tennessee.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Start on Tennessee. Excuse me. So like I said, they just signed Clowney to a 1-year, $15 million deal.
Yep.
They have Derrick Henry, who was the last year's rushing champion, 1,500 yards. No one's led in consecutive seasons, though, since LaDainian Tomlinson in 2006 and 2007.
I think Derrick Henry very well could.
Yeah, well, he's going to get the opportunity with a lot of the carries. Like I said, Tannehill. I love their receivers, A.J. Brown, Corey Davis, and Adam Humphries. They're all 3 of those guys can ball.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said earlier, they dumped Jarrell Casey. Logan Ryan now is on the Giants. He garnered some votes for defensive player of the year, I believe. So I don't know. I think Clowney reuniting with Vrabel, who was his defensive coach in Houston.
I really like Mike Vrabel.
I think that's going to do a lot for Clowney, getting back into a system he's familiar with. I expect a big year. Like, he wanted big money, but he's only coming off 3 sacks.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's really good, but you pay the guys that have a lot of sacks, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes with him. I think they're going to have a solid year, though. Okay. The only question mark for me is Tannehill.
I think a lot of teams, I think the Titans are one-dimensional. I think they have a lot of solid players. Like, there's not a lot of holes in that team. Like, everybody on that team is a B player. Obviously, Derrick Henry is an A player, but I think that's the only position where you're like, okay, we actually have a legit star. And I think just not having...
A.J. Brown, the wide receiver, is a star for sure.
I think not having enough of those guys at super key positions makes a huge difference. And I think it's just they're not good enough to get over the hump. I think last year was a little bit of an oddball out. They might win it's one of those divisions where the Texans, Colts, and Titans, they could all win the division. It's kind of up in the air. But like you, I'm leaning towards Indianapolis. And I think Deshaun Watson's going to have a little bit more of the Texans are going to have a bit of a better year.
What do you think win-wise for them? These guys are the first team ever also to finish 9-7 4 straight years.
I think they're right around that 8-8, 9-7 mark.
I'll give them actually 10 wins.
Ooh, okay. You think they're going to win division? Or do you think Indianapolis?
I say they tie.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So what happens when they tie?
I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work this year. I'm going to have to see how that works. Well, if it's a tie, do they go with whoever has more points? I don't know how they figure out a tiebreaker.
I'm not sure.
I can't remember right now. Too many pills today.
That'd be interesting if they did tie.
So, but
Do you want to do Indianapolis then?
yeah, sure.
Okay, go for it.
They signed Phillip Rivers, $25 million for this year, which I think he's got football left in him. He's reunited with Frank Reich, which I think is going to be huge for him. They got the best offensive line in football.
Mm-hmm.
They also picked up Jonathan Taylor, so combining him with Marlon Mack should be a pretty good 1-2 punch. Now T.Y. Hilton always kind of injured here or there, but they also drafted Michael Pittman Jr. from USC, who is really good, I think. And they also picked up DeForest Buckner from San Fran, which was huge.
I think that's really big.
So he's definitely one of the best at his position. And also Darius Leonard, the maniac, a linebacker. So he had 244 tackles, 12 sacks, 7 picks, and 6 forced fumbles since he came in, I believe. Or yeah. Actually, I don't even know where that stat came from. Sorry, but
I was gonna say, I have no clue. I'm not fact checking you.
So I don't know. I think they're gonna do good. What was it? 7-9 I said last year, bro. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think they can get to 10 wins. Challenge for the division title. That's what I was saying.
I think the Colts are solid. I don't have as much faith in Phillip Rivers as you do, but I think just because their O-line is so good,
That's why I got the faith.
I think because their O-line is so good and he's able to actually sit there and work through his rotation, work through his progression, I think he'll be able to hit targets.
Obviously, the drawback there is like no legs. So, but like I said,
but because the O-line's so good,
up,
he can sit in the pocket and he can make the smart play and make the right play.
I think he's got a little bit left in him. I think he has a decent year this year for sure.
I think they might make the playoffs. Maybe like a 9 record, maybe a 9-7, maybe a 10-6. But I think they get knocked out first round if they do.
Yeah, I'm not expecting much out of them, but
Yeah.
see how it goes. Who's next here?
Texans?
Oh yeah, Texans and Jags. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Texans, obviously, they got rid of DeAndre Hopkins, which is gonna be huge for Deshaun.
I heard an interesting take that DeAndre leaving, one of the reasons why they might have let him go or traded him is so that Deshaun actually progresses as a quarterback, because now he doesn't always have that one guy to throw to. That's now he actually has to work and spread the ball across the field.
I am buying it because Will Fuller, the other wide receiver, is always injured. So if you're never going to have a 1-2, DeAndre is like number one as they get. I'd rather have the number one receiver than not, for sure.
Oh, I believe you. I would too.
You know?
I don't know. I'm in the same boat. I don't know if I believe that theory. But I do think having DeAndre Hopkins was a crutch the last couple of seasons. So it'll be interesting to see what Deshaun is able to do. That O-line is still not great whatsoever. No. He's going to be running for his life like he has been the last 2 years. That was really the holes they need to fill in the draft, and they didn't do it. So,
yeah, they brought in Brandon Cooks and Randall Cobb, which I don't know. I guess they're okay, but
this whole division is just meh to me. One of these teams is going to get an extra win or two, and they're going to take it. I don't even know. This is the one division I can't really figure out.
Now on defense, they got J.J. Watt, Whitney Merciless, and Justin Reed. DJ Reader left, though, in free agency for the Bengals. So, I don't know. I think they got a really tough schedule. A lot of turnover, not sold on their D at all. So, I think maybe around 7 wins, bro.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a little bit tough for those guys this year.
I think all three of those teams are in the 7 to 10 win range, and anyone could take it. Jags are obviously absolute bottom feeders. There's not really a better way to put it. I fucking love Gardner Minshew, though.
The mustache?
Dude, and just the jean shorts and all the fucking stories. I think it's hilarious. Just because of my love for him, I want to say they're going to get 4 wins, but realistically, it's going to be like 2.
I think they'll do a little bit better than that. So they got rid of Calais Campbell, Jalen Ramsey, AJ Bouye, Marcel Darius, Marquise Lee, Yannick Ngakoue, and Leonard Fournette. All those guys were like, I think, what was it, like 7 Pro Bowlers they got rid of?
Yep.
So,
that team, from a couple of years ago, is just falling apart, dude.
Now, like you said, with Minshew, he was 6-6 as a starter, completed over 60% of his passes.
Yeah, he was solid.
Now they got a new OC, Jay Gruden, who I like him as an offensive coordinator. Also on defense, they have Josh Allen, and they also picked up Joe Schober from, I believe he's from the Browns.
Okay.
And he can join Miles Jack in the middle of the linebacking core. So I don't know. Like you said, it's gonna be a struggle. I say maybe 5 wins.
You got some faith. I hope so. I hope Gardner does decent, but we'll see. Realistically, I think they'll be in the Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes for next year.
Oh yeah,
They'll probably win it. To be honest with you.
Cincinnati will be competing for sure for the number 1 draft pick. Cincinnati was always going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it for that division.
Yeah. You want to go to the AFC North then? Talk about Cincinnati.
Sure.
I'm like I said earlier, when I was talking about rookie quarterbacks, I am terrified for Joe Burrow. Obviously, he had an absolutely historic run at LSU last year. It was unreal watching them win the title. But like we said, apart from Andrew Luck and Russell Wilson, no rookie QB has really come into the league and been able to. It's one of those things where you're putting on, like, Joe Burrow's a little bit older, so he'll handle it a little bit better, but you're putting on a kid, turn around this division, or turn around this team, turn around this franchise, save us. And you're putting all that pressure on someone who's never played a single snap in the NFL.
And we didn't have OTAs
or preseason.
Yeah.
So he is going in complete, like, they're not setting him up for success. They're setting him up to get raw dogged.
Well, some people rather people learn on the job, and some people don't. I think if he would have had training camp, I would definitely put him out there.
Yep.
But it's gonna be a struggle. I do like the wide receivers, a lot of the receivers though, but it's definitely gonna be a struggle coming. And learning the Cincinnati way of losing is gonna be tough for him,
especially in a division where you're playing against the Ravens, Browns, and Steelers, who all have really good defenses.
Yeah.
So I think it's gonna be bad for Joe. I want him to do well. I think he's dope, but I just don't see this team.
Him and AJ Green, I think if he can stay healthy, they'll put up big numbers. They drafted T. Higgins, and they also have Tyler Boyd, who I really like. So we'll see. They released cornerback Drake Kirkpatrick, who I was never a big fan of anyways, and they signed 5 starters. So it's like a lot of turnover.
Yep.
Added to Burrow's inexperience. So
it's just a clusterfuck, and I think it's going to be a clusterfuck.
It's going to be like Burrow on the run all year.
Yep.
So I think it's going to be.
It ain't going to be pretty.
It's going to be hard to learn on the job. Also, Joe Mixon signed a 4-year deal with them for $48 million.
Okay.
Another weapon for him. So he definitely has.
He has weapons on offense, but it's just he's going against arguably the best defenses in the league, apart from San Fran.
They were 2-14 last year. What do you got them at this year?
I think they're right on that same mark, maybe 3, but I think they lose.
Yeah, I think around 3 too, maybe 4, but yeah, you probably.
There's a shout out to Colin Cowherd. I saw he put it, I think it was on Twitter, that there's some sports book that had the over-under for Bengals was 5.5 games.
I'd go under for sure.
No shit.
Yeah.
Dude, everybody in the world should go there and place the bet on the under. Like, that is ridiculous.
Who you want to talk about next?
Do you want to talk... Yeah, it doesn't matter. You want to talk Browns?
Sure.
We can move up the division. This is the make-or-break year for Baker Mayfield. The Browns last year were kind of like the Bucks this year, where they got a bunch of shiny new weapons, and that roster talent-wise was stacked and still is absolutely loaded. And if the Browns underachieve again this year, I think they're going to be looking at a new QB, looking to move away from Baker, because realistically he has everything he needs to succeed.
I think they're going to slip into the playoffs this year.
You think so?
Mm-hmm. I think now that Kevin Stefanski's there, I've seen him a lot with the Vikings. Makes Kirk Cousins look real good.
Yep.
He's going to do the same with Baker. I know he will.
I hope he does.
They also added Jack Conklin and Austin Hooper in free agency, 2 huge players.
Yep.
And Nick Chubb, I think, is dark horse to... Well, not dark horse, but I think he might lead the league in rushing this year.
The Browns also...
And they also have Kareem Hunt behind him. So.
Yeah, and they play a lot of shit teams. This year, they play the Bengals twice. They play the NFC East, so they play Washington and my New York Giants. And then they also play the Jets and the Jaguars. So those are 6 games that are pretty much gimmies.
Oh, they definitely have an easier road this year than last year. Last year they had a hard-ass schedule. So.
They did. So if they can pick up some games in their division, they very well can make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think they will. Also, we got Myles Garrett on defense, who
That's
I
my
think
boy.
could challenge for Defensive Player of the Year for sure.
Oh, he's
he
so
was last
nasty.
year. So, yeah, I don't know. They got to make that leap, but I think they got good weapons. Now that Stefanski's in there, he's gonna use Baker the right way. I think.
Yeah,
I love Denzel Ward in the corner.
I think this situation, coaching wise, is way better than last year, and I think they're actually setting themselves up for some success. I know they're easy to hate on. Baker's easy to hate, but I think they'll actually do well this year.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'll call 9-7.
Yeah, that's what I got him at.
Yeah. I want to do Steelers.
Sure.
I know you are still think Ben's got some football to play. I don't. I think he has a history. He doesn't. I don't think he does have a history of not really trying hard in the offseason, coming in out of shape. And I think, especially with COVID, I think it's going to be even more exacerbated. I think is the word.
Yeah.
I think he's not going to come in looking good. I think he's going to be out of shape, and I just don't think it's going to go well.
Yeah, like you said, I'm the exact opposite of you. So Big Ben's back. He had surgery on the elbow. Now, the last time he was healthy, the year prior to that, he led the NFL in passing.
Mm-hmm.
Still has Juju, has James Conner. They signed Eric Ebron, and they drafted Chase Claypool. So, a lot of weapons on offense. Defense, too, no short of names either. TJ Watt, Minka Fitzpatrick.
Yep.
Bud Dupree.
Yep.
Devin Bush. So, I think their defense is going to be one of the best.
Their defense is always solid.
So, and they have the NFL's second easiest schedule.
They have the same schedule as the Browns, where they're playing the Giants, Washington,
I got them
Bengals
12
twice.
wins.
Yeah, no, I think they finish 8-8. I think they have a mediocre season. I think the Browns beat them. I think Baltimore absolutely runs. Baltimore could legitimately go 16-0 this year.
Ain't happening.
I don't think it is either, but they have a very real shot at it. But yeah, I think this is the year. Tom Coughlin's obviously an amazing coach, and there's always issues for the Steelers going into the season, and then he always finds a way to pull it together. Like Mason Rudolph last year, they overperformed what everyone thought they were gonna do. You okay?
Yeah, fuck.
Want
Dying over here, man.
scoot your chair a little forward?
No, I'm all right, bro. Sorry. Go on.
It's all good, bro.
I'm going to cut you off.
Yeah, it's all good, man. You're dying, literally. So yeah, I think they're gonna underperform. Not underperform, but I think they're gonna perform at. Yeah, they'll underperform because they got Ben back. But yeah, 8-8, my call.
So Ravens. You're bringing back NFL, who was voted NFL 2020 Player of the Year by his peers.
Mm-hmm.
He had one of the most successful seasons by any NFL quarterback.
Yep.
He had over 3,100 yards, NFL high 36 touchdowns, which was a franchise record.
Mm-hmm.
Finished with over 1,200 yards rushing, which is the most ever in NFL history for a quarterback.
Yep.
And then, so they broke the NFL all-time single-season rushing record last year. Sorry.
Yep.
And then they went out and added J.K. Dobbins from Ohio State.
Yep.
So, I don't know. There's not many weaknesses. They got Mark Andrews and Nick Boyle at the tight ends. And they also grabbed Calais Campbell.
They're the most complete
and signed
team.
Derek Wolfe.
The most complete team in the NFL.
So, and
Top to bottom.
Apparently they were trying to find a way to get Clowney too, which would have been ridiculous.
Yep.
So, and although I'm not a huge fan of Marcus Peters, after he came over last year,
Oh, dude, he stepped up.
3 picks, 2 of them returned for touchdowns, and 10 passes defended. So
He played out of his mind.
And also too, they drafted Patrick Queen, who I thought Seattle should have drafted. He's gonna be a star. I think they finished with 13 wins.
I'm just looking at the schedule right now too. I think they win their first 5 in a row, and then I think they start to get a little complacent. I think they lose to the Eagles week 6, pick it back up again. Then I think they lose to the Cowboys and Browns back to back, and then steamroll the last 3 games of Jaguars, Giants, Bengals. So I think 13 maybe 14 wins.
But you also got to remember too, if the team's got big leads, they're not going to play the guys near the end.
It's true.
So that could change
But
win totals.
I still, even with the, okay, maybe they lose to the Giants at the end of the season.
I'm not saying no. I'm just saying keep that in mind for like, the really good teams.
Yeah.
If they got a huge lead, they usually like to rest their guys, right? So
yeah,
that definitely plays a role. But
then and if the Ravens are, what would that be? They'd be what, like 11-2 going into those last couple games. They probably might even just sit Lamar.
Or it could be a fucking race with Pittsburgh. You never know, right?
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But yeah, I think maybe 13, 14 wins. I think and I think they have an outside shot of legit having a perfect season. I think they're that good.
Yeah, they're definitely talented for sure.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to move on to next?
Last division in the AFC East.
Oh, here we go.
This is, I think, a super, super entertaining division.
It's Buffalo's division this year, I think.
100%. I think.
You want to start with Buffalo then?
Yeah, let's do it.
So last year they finished 10-6.
Yep.
Now they had one of the best defense in the whole league.
Mm-hmm.
They have McDermott, who I love as a coach.
He's an unreal coach. One of the few defensive minded coaches that is successful.
Yeah, I know. I think his culture that he set there is outstanding. Now also too. So Cole Beasley caught as many passes as Mike Evans last year during Winston's 30-30 season. John Brown had a better statistical season than Odell. And on top of that, they brought in Stephon Diggs from the Vikings, who
I think that's a huge pickup.
Huge
pickup.
Wide receiver.
Especially with Josh Allen's long, big arm.
He's the question mark on all this. That's the one thing I don't trust about this whole entire team is Josh Allen.
Really? I'm the opposite. I think he proved last season that he can play. And he can play consistently at a high level.
See, I'm not buying the consistent thing. He's got a sick arm for sure. But with that being said, like I said, I think it's their division. I want to say around 10 wins. Yeah, how about you?
I think 11 wins. I think now having Stephon Diggs, who's like their clear number one receiver, and he has a target who's going to consistently be open, and he has a deep target in Stephon as well. I think it's just going to be... I think that's like a match made in heaven. I think that's exactly what the Bills needed to take the next step and really like...
I see Josh Allen overthrowing a lot of receivers in my nightmares.
Yeah?
I like him, don't get me wrong.
You have nightmares about the Bills?
He's the only... I think they're going to do good. Bills Mafia deserves it, man.
Fuck yeah, they do.
So...
Their coach he's a Bill Belichick guy, right? I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong on that, but I think he's a Bill Belichick guy.
I want to say no.
Because there's been a lot of comparisons, like culture-wise, of
Miami
the Bills.
coach, Bill Belichick guy.
Brian Flores? Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
McDermott, no. I'm trying to think. McDermott, is he Andy Reid or... I can't remember right now, bro. But either way, he's fucking one of the better really coaches good. For sure. And like I said, their defense is fucking...
unbelievable.
Championship level. So.
And that's what I was saying is that there's a lot of comparisons to the Patriots defense and system. People who have gone into Bills and like all the media who've watched it draw comparisons to the Patriots system. And that speaks volumes to how well run that team is.
Oh yeah, for sure. They're definitely very well run.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the Patriots, you want to do them?
Sure.
Where do you sit with this whole Cam situation? How well do you think this is going to work?
I said it before, and I'm going to say it again.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a rough year for New England. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a rough year for Cam. So, first of all, I've never seen Belichick give anyone any more praise in my life than he has Cam Newton in the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
Didn't even give that to Tom Brady in 20 years.
Which is wild.
So, okay. Their wide receiving core last year finished dead last when it came to separation.
Yep.
Their tight ends as a collective finished dead last. They don't really have a great running back. Didn't sign anything you needed. Now, especially, in a new system or just in general, the tight end's like the security blanket for the quarterback, right?
Yep.
So,
they had
having the worst group of tight ends last year, and like, Cam isn't the most accurate quarterback either, so that coupled with your receivers not being able to get open, and you guys lost how many pieces on D too,
and you had 7 or 8 players opt out for the season as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
this team is so depleted.
I think it's going to be a rough go for them this year.
I think it is too. I think if the team but I guess picked up some weapons on the offense, I think there's some potential, especially in this division, for them to sneak into a wild card spot, but
But here's the
I don't
thing:
think
they
it's
never
happening.
picked up weapons for fucking Brady. Why are they gonna pick them
No.
up for Newton? They
Yeah.
ain't, you know what I mean? So I don't know. Like
That's
if
really
they're
the-
banking on N'Keal Harry and Jacoby Myers, then
Ain't
you
gonna
got
happen.
problems.
It ain't gonna happen.
And they also just released Mohamed Sanu, who they picked up last year for a second-round draft pick.
Yep.
Gone, just like that, for nothing.
Yep. Also, Julian Edelman had the most drops he's ever had last year too.
And he's
Like-
just another year older.
Yep. It's
So,
not.
it's
looking
going to
good.
be tough, I think, bro.
I think so too. I'm thinking 5, maybe 6 wins. I don't think it's gonna.
I'll
be
give him 7, and I only do that just because of Belichick.
Yeah. I don't think it's gonna be pretty.
Miami or Jets?
Let's do Miami.
So last year they were 5-11. Now last year they ended really
They
good.
played really well at the end of the year.
Definitely. So that's good to build on. Something good to build on. Now Tua, Fitzmagic's going to be the starter.
Fuck yeah, baby.
But Tua, I think by November is your starting quarterback.
I think so too.
There's a slate of games against the talent's not the greatest. So
Yep. The back half of their season, it's the first 8. They've got the Pats, Bills, Seahawks, Jags, 49ers, Broncos, Chargers, Rams, which is very strong. But in the second half, their first 4 games of the second half are the Cards, the Jets twice, the Bengals. That stretch of 4 games, I think Tua gets slotted in for.
yeah, I hear you for sure. I think so too. They also got their wide receivers are pretty good. Devontae Parker, who had over 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns, and
Yep.
Preston Williams.
Yep.
And then they went out and grabbed Byron Jones from Dallas as a corner.
Yep.
To pair him with Xavier Howard. Those are like 2 of the highest paid corners in the league.
Yep.
And the move I think that really helps him out is signing Kyle Van Noy from New England.
Yeah, it's big.
So he's getting up there in age. He's 29, which is, not super young in the NFL. So what do you think for wins wise, what do you think they're going to do?
I think they end up close to 8-8, maybe 7. I think 8-8's their ceiling though, but I think 7-9 is more realistic. I think there are very few teams that I think handle rebuilds well, and it seems like the Dolphins are always rebuilding. But I think the situation they're in right now, with Brian Flores and Tua coming in, starting behind Fitz, building off momentum last year, I think they could be really successful this year, and work to a 500 record, and then build off it next.
I think it's going to be a little bit tougher than you do. So I'll give them around 6 wins.
Okay.
I think it's going to... Yeah, I don't think they're quite there yet. They're definitely headed in the right direction.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. See how it goes there with those guys. But yeah, they got a good coach. And who wouldn't want to play in Miami too, though?
Fuck yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Especially once Tua is Tua.
Yep.
A lot of guys will want to go play over there. But
Like people forget that people were at the beginning of last season, all the memes were tank for Tua. He had the same amount of hype that Trevor Lawrence does coming into this season. Like, he's that good of a prospect.
oh, he's gonna be sick. I think.
I think he's gonna do phenomenal. I think he's coming into the perfect situation, playing under a journeyman quarterback. This is one of the few scenarios in which I think the Dolphins are actually setting themselves up for some real success.
I think so too. Down the line, they're gonna be pretty successful.
Yes, sir.
So we got the Jets.
Yep. I think this is similar to Cincinnati. I think this is a clusterfuck. I think this team is so poorly managed. It's unbelievable. And it's a shame because I actually really like Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Woody Johnson. The
No.
Johnson, that's who owns it. Yeah, Woody Johnson. He's the owner. Darnold, the talent is there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, his problem was the offensive line was as shit could get.
Yep.
So if you're constantly on the run, it's going to be tough for any quarterback,
Yep.
So I think there's 5 new starters on the offensive line this year. Also, not giving him any help, Le'Veon Bell, who's done nothing, and his camp has been super shitty from everything I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
And then he also got rid of Robbie Anderson.
And Jamal Adams.
So, and Adams on D, but for weapons
is
for Darnold.
For Darnold, yeah.
What has he got?
He had nothing.
They brought in Brashad Perryman, who was a good number 3 receiver on Tampa Bay last year. Really good. But
And that's your guy who's going to go against
if that's your number
your
one,
top corners. Like, that's ridiculous.
I think it's gonna be rough for them. They had 7 wins last year. They're definitely regressing this year.
Yeah, and you look at their first 4 games, Bills, 49ers, Colts, Broncos. They're starting the season 0-4. And then they play Cards, Chargers, Bills again, Chiefs. So they literally could be 1-7 to start the season.
Yeah, I got them maybe around 5 wins.
Second, yeah. They also play Seahawks, Rams, Raiders.
There's always going to be an upset in there.
I know.
In the season somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
I usually always give teams 1 or 2 upsets. Or if you're the favorite, 1 or 2 surprise losses. So I think, 4 games, 5 games sounds about right. Nothing to be excited about, though, at all.
No, it's the Jets. We all know what we're getting with them.
Mm-hmm.
That's it for that division, yeah?
Yes, sir.
What do you want to go to?
Oh, we're swapping over to the NFC. You want to stay in New York?
Oh, what about the...
We did them all.
Oh, shit. Okay, my bad.
Yes, sir. NFC, you want to stay in New York and do the Giants?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Similar to the Tua situation and the Miami situation, the Giants situation with Daniel Jones. The situation with Daniel Jones is being handled very, very well, I think. I think the Giants, and this isn't just me being a New York fan, I think the Giants are actually going to do decent. I think they have the potential to go 7-9. But it's one of those things where the team needs to build and gel together. I think they have weapons on offense with Golden Tate. Darius Slayton kind of evolved into a threat, and they have Evan Ingram at tight end.
He's going to be so sick this year.
He already is. He's so nasty. Obviously, Saquon as well. So I think Daniel Jones is in a situation where he has no pressure on him because he came in with all the pressure in the world. You know, you passed up on Dwayne Haskins. What the fuck? Who's this guy? You could have gotten him in the 3rd round. What are you doing? And he proved everybody wrong that he at least can play. So I think this season he can sit back and really learn the offense, really settle in, and the pressure isn't on him because he has playmakers around him. I think they'll actually outperform people's expectations.
Yeah. They hired Joe Judge. That's a Belichick disciple, right?
Yep.
For a new coach. So definitely changing the culture over there.
I saw a sick video where, sorry to interrupt.
That's right.
Where Joe Judge, they were doing like mudslides or whatever, where like players were diving, like it's sliding the mud just for fun, and Joe Judge fucking got right in there too. So
Yeah.
I think the culture there is for the first time in a long time at a really good spot.
He's also learned under Nick Saban, which is huge. So you learn under Belichick and Saban, you're probably gonna have some good qualities on you, right?
Yeah, I really like him. I also think I had a point. Jesus.
They also signed Jason Garrett, ex-Cowboy coach, for the new OC. Saquon, obviously one of the best backs in the league. I would like to see him catch more balls, though, for sure.
Yeah.
And now I think the question with your team is maybe on defense.
It is. It's
so
very poor.
You have your pass rushing wasn't the greatest.
Mm-hmm.
Now you do your corner Bradbury, which he signed a big deal I think recently for those guys, and then the kid that shot up that party, Baker. He's
DeAndre
going too,
Baker.
right? They gave his jersey to somebody else already.
Yeah, he faces
So
life.
he done.
Yeah,
I think I read a stat last year. He gave up a quarterback rating of 116 when balls thrown his way. So basically, letting the guys catch him.
Jesus
but I think that's
Christ.
where you hurt though. It's gonna be a rough one on defense for you.
Yeah, our secondary is so brutal.
But I think Jones, you're gonna see a huge leap in him. I got him for about 7 wins.
Yeah, I'm right there too. He's I think they'll actually be able to go like shoot out with some of the other teams that don't have great defenses.
And Saquon will win you a couple games on his own.
Fuck yeah, for sure he will.
Definitely.
So I'm optimistic, and I think this is what I was gonna say earlier is that there's a lot of pressure when there's a quarterback switch on the new quarterback, but I think we put up with Eli Manning for so long that all the fans were just praying, just please give us somebody else, please retire this man, please, 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 please. Then now that it's happened, it's like, okay, we got it. Let's chill out and not put pressure on him. Let's make this be successful. So I don't think there's a lot of pressure on the fans by the fans, which is weird for a New York team, but I think it'll be good.
Yeah, you probably got another, I want to say, year or two before you really like.
Okay, what the fuck's
scary,
going on?
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
But who do you want to talk about next?
You want to do Washington? Get them out of the way?
Sure, they suck. Next.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just kidding.
I'm totally okay with that, to be honest with you, dude.
Ron Rivera's brought in, right?
Yep.
He brought in also Jack Del Rio to run the defense and brought in Scott Turner So this is going to be Haskins' team. Not sold on him at all.
Not at all.
I think you'll see Kyle Allen pretty quick. And they also kept Alex Smith, which was kind of cool.
It is very cool.
Don't know if he's going to get any games, but now literally the only good offensive guy, Terry McLaurin, he's had a great year last year. And they had to get rid of Darius Geis recently because of too many domestic incidences.
Yeah, it's just a clusterfuck.
And that's fucked up because he was good, but like, no team I don't think is going to take a chance on him.
Yeah.
And they used 5 first-round picks on defensive line and invested in Landon Collins, ex-Giant.
Yep.
So they also have Chase Young, who I think has a good chance of breaking the rookie sack record.
Oh, he's a monster.
And you also have Thomas Davis, and Ryan Kerrigan. So I don't know. It's Washington at the end of the day, so they're gonna be shit. I say 3 wins.
I think so too. I think this is going to be similar to Miami last year, where Brian Flores came in and had to reestablish a culture. And I think Ron Rivera's a good coach, and he's going to be able to do that. But I think this is a culture building year. Yeah. They invested in their D-line this past year. I think if next year, they might win the Taylor Lawrence sweepstakes. If they do end up having to pick up a quarterback and invest in their O-line, and then the following after pick up some skill positions, I think that's the blueprint for them to be successful in the next couple of years. And I think having Ron Rivera, he'd actually be able to follow through on that.
I think it's going to be rough for Ron, man. Washington is Washington. They're always, I think, it starts with
Dan
management.
Snyder, right?
Dan Snyder,
Yeah, he's a jackass.
So,
but I don't see Ron Rivera taking shit from him.
No, but it's going to be tough, I think.
I think they're going to be terrible this year, but I think in the next couple of years they could start to turn things around a little bit. We'll see.
We got the Eagles. We'll talk Eagles.
Yeah, Eagles and Cowboys are obviously the 2 teams in this division.
Who do you think wins the division?
It's weird because they're both stacked team-wise.
For sure.
I want to say the Eagles, though, just because they still were decent. Like, last year, injury-wise, was absolute worst-case scenario. Like, they lost everybody last year. And they still did decently well. So
even specifically to that point, Carson Wentz did really well with nobody catching the balls.
Mm-hmm. So I think the Eagles probably win this year. I'm still not sold on Dak, but it's that Cowboys team's so loaded though, dude. I
got Eagles winning the division.
I don't know.
So Wentz is entering his 5th year. He played all 16 games last year for the first time since his rookie year, which is huge.
Mm-hmm.
They got Miles Sanders. Who broke, I believe, LaShawn McCoy's couple records that he had there.
Yep.
And also they got some of the best tight ends in the league with Ertz and Goddard.
Yep.
Definitely sick.
Zach Ertz is
tandem.
so sick.
And they used two end sets more than 50% of the time last year, so they'll be around. And they also drafted Jalen Reagor, the wide receiver, another weapon for Carson. Also Deshaun's coming back too.
Yeah, I saw that.
And they have Alshon, but Alshon's kind of done.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I think they win the division though. Also they got fucking Darius Slay.
Yep.
Sick corner. So he'll make a difference too for sure.
And they also have the ability to run Jalen Hurts in the Wildcat too. Like there's this team's deep.
And the coaching is great. So I think they're the division winners. I'll give them 10 wins.
I think it'll be one of those things where it's Eagles and Cowboys both end up 9-7, but the Eagles have a tiebreaker. That's my prediction. It'll be close. It'll be, this division's not the greatest, and so it'll be tight between the Cowboys and the Eagles.
You want to talk about the boys?
Mm-hmm. Go for it.
So this is kind of it for Dak. He's got no excuses,
This is make or break year.
So loaded. And also they brought in Mike McCarthy.
Yep.
They have Cooper and Gallup. Both had over 1,000 yards last year. And then they drafted CeeDee Lamb.
He's so sick.
So they had the number 1 offensive last year. It's going to be number 1 again this year. When you got all those guys and Zeke.
Mm-hmm.
So Dak came off his best year last year statistically. 30-11 with over 4,900 yards. They signed Dalton to be his backup. Now their O line, not like it used to be. It's still really good.
It's starting to get old is the problem, right?
Well, Frederick retired. So, but I mean, they have a lot of talent on the line. They're still a top 10 line in the league.
Yeah, I think offense-wise, the Cowboys are right up there with KC and Baltimore and the Saints.
Yeah, it's going to be firepower for sure. Now, they brought in Mike Nolan as a defensive coordinator. So, see how he does there. Last year, they had the 11th ranked rushing and 10th ranked pass defense. So, I don't know. Oh, yeah, right. Gerald McCoy got hurt in the beginning of training camp this year.
Did he?
Which is going to be huge, yeah.
Yeah, that sucks.
They brought in also, too, Everson Griffin, Alden Smith, and Don Terry Poe. So, I don't know. I think tiebreaker with the Eagles, and the Eagles take the tiebreaker.
Yeah, I think that's
the
right call. This division is going to be really, really close.
Their offense is going to be disgusting. They're going to win so many games. Their defense probably won't even have to be good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if either the Eagles or the Cowboys, if one of those two can eke out a win against either the Ravens or the 49ers because they both play them, then I think whatever team does that wins the division.
It's going to be a good fight, I think, for the division.
Yeah, I think so too.
What's next, bro?
You want to do NFC West?
Let's do it.
I think this division will actually disagree on a little bit. Do you want to start with the Cardinals? Because we'll probably place them in the same place.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, I'm just trying to find it here.
Yeah, dude. Obviously, Kyler Murray played unreal last year. He actually is one of the few quarterbacks who got slotted right into starting and actually was successful. We didn't really talk about him when we were mentioning rookie quarterbacks, but he played unreal last year. And I think if he was in any other division, they'd have a really good chance of actually getting to the postseason wildcard spot. But like we said, this is arguably the deepest division in football. So I don't think that's going to happen. But picking up D-Hop, all the
Huge.
weapons on offense, and they have a solid defense. They're a good team. They're just in a really, really good division.
Yeah, so Murray won Rookie of the Year last year. Fitzgerald and D-Hop together should be really good.
Mm-hmm.
Also, who did really well after coming over was Kenyon Drake.
That's who I was thinking of. I can't remember.
He had a really good year, so the offense is going to be super explosive.
Yep. They'll be a really fun team to watch. Really fun.
Defense, they got a good name. Chandler Jones, always near the top of the sack leaders, and Buda Baker. But they also allowed the most yards in the NFL per game. So they're definitely going to have to tighten that up. Patrick Peterson on the back end, he's not what he used to be. He's still really good, though. So I give him around 8 wins, I think.
I'm right there, too. I think 7 or 8 wins. And like I said, any other division, I think they challenge for division title. They
open the year road game against San Fran, and the next 4 against Washington and Detroit at home, followed by Carolina and the Jets. So we'll see how it goes. It gets tougher after that. They have the 8th toughest schedule this year. So
okay, but like I said, a lot of that is just in their own division.
I think Kyler's going to be leaps and bounds better.
I think so too.
Who you got next?
Let's do Seahawks.
Sure.
I think last year Russell Wilson was forced to basically single-handedly will this team into the playoffs. I think the defense is starting to fall apart. Their defensive line, I think, got rated like 32nd or 31st
it's
by
horrible.
Pro Football Focus.
Yeah. Both lines are brutal.
And their O-line is right there. I think it was 28th, the article I read. So you can only put that on one player for so long. And I think the Rams are going to have a bounce back here. I think last year they had the Super Bowl loss hangover. So to be honest with you, I actually don't see them making the playoffs.
You don't see Seattle making the playoffs?
No, I think the Rams win the division. I think the Niners take the wild card spot.
I think Seahawks definitely make the playoffs. They finished with 11 wins last year?
Yep.
So
yeah, this is one where I said this was my prediction of it. I thought we were going to disagree on this.
Oh, that's cool though. Yeah, whatever, right?
Right.
So Wilson's coming into the 9th year at 32. So he's thrown more touchdowns than any other quarterback since 2017.
Yep. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's so incredibly good.
Last year, he finished with 31 touchdown passes and a career low 5 picks, and led the NFL in 5 game-winning drives. They got Tyler Lockett. They got DK Metcalf. Brought in Greg Olsen. Added Philip Dorsett in the free agency. Now the running backs are always hurt. You got Carson. You got Hyde and Rashad Penny. Now, defense is where I think they're going to have question marks, though.
Mm-hmm.
So
their
you don't have Clowney, right? He's gone now.
Yeah, and their D-line's terrible.
Terrible. They got Jordan Brooks, the linebacker, but I don't know how much you can really expect coming out of him. Although he's going to be learning beside Bobby Wagner and KJ Wright, so he should do okay there.
And Jamal Adams.
And then, yeah, you're big. Now, Jamal Adams, since he can line up at so many different positions, he's not just a safety. I think it's going to be like the wild card for them.
Yeah.
I expect Pete Carroll to use him really well, so we'll see how that goes. But I think they're going to be a pretty good team. They only have the 13th toughest schedule in the NFL. I don't like to bet against Russ.
Yeah, I know.
You know?
This is one of those things where I think they actually go like 8-8 or 9-7 and miss the playoffs. Like, I think they're a good team. They're just, the division's too good.
I think they do around 11 wins again, like they did last year. Yeah, I think so. What's next, bro?
We should have a little bet on that. We should do plus minus 10 wins. Yeah, you want to do Rams?
Yeah, let's do it.
I think Rams, like I said, I think almost every team that loses in the Super Bowl, or even like conference championships, apart from some of the all-time teams like the Pats, I think they have big hangovers, and that's what happened with the Rams. Last year was their Super Bowl loss hangover year, and they kind of fell apart. But I think that team is just too good, and I think Sean McVay is such an insanely good coach that I think this year they bounce back very, very heavy. I actually think they beat out the 49ers. And the only reason I say that is because the 49ers just lost in the Super Bowl, and I personally think that's a really, really big thing. I think those two are neck and neck, but I think the Rams eke it out. There's not a lot on that team that I don't like. It's hard to poke holes in it.
I don't have him winning as many games as you do. So no Todd Gurley, no Cooks, no Weddle, no Greg Zuerlein, no Corey Littleton, Clay Matthews, or Dante Fowler. Every one of those guys are gone.
A lot of those guys, in my opinion, though, I'm okay with letting go.
Yeah, but it's just like if you don't have the continuity, that's gonna stand out, I think, right? So
I get that. I think Sean McVay is the continuity.
Oh, for sure. He's one of the best. He's top 5 coaches in the league.
Yeah.
So Goff is the guy I'm not sold on out of everyone here.
That's the only spot.
So
where it's iffy.
You got Aaron Donald and Pro Bowl cornerback Ramsey, who both will be great.
So sick.
So yeah, I'm not sold on their defense either. Like losing Littleton's going to be huge.
Mm-hmm.
I think they kind of finish 8-8, 9-7.
Okay, I have them at about 11 wins. Like I said, I think they're right there with 49ers. Maybe even 12 wins. We'll see. I think having a star player in the secondary and on the D line allows other areas to you can skimp and have holes in other spots in your defense if you have one at each, just because Jalen Ramsey can play man coverage with any receiver in the league. Aaron Donald requires 2 men on him at all times. I think it's just so impactful having those 2 guys on the field defensively. And I think offensively, Sean McVay is like the Bill Belichick of offense, right? And I think he's such a good coach that he'll make up for Todd Gurley not being there. But C.K. Anderson's still there, right?
I'm not even sure right now.
I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure he is. I don't think he left. And he played unreal in their playoff run 2 years ago.
He did, yeah.
So I'm okay with that. And Cooper Kupp obviously had a breakout year last year. So I think they're going to do really well.
So San Fran leads with San Fran?
Yep.
So we all know what happened. 10-point lead, 7 minutes left in the fourth, and lost the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So they kept 20 of the 24 starters, which is going to be huge. Like we said, no training camp, no OTAs. No preseason.
Yeah.
Now, they do have some question marks. Deebo Samuel has a broken foot. He's going to miss the first month. His backup pulled a hamstring, so he's going to be out. Now, Jerick McKinnon comes back after missing the last 2 seasons. They got the best tight end in the league, George Kittle. Garoppolo, I think he's good enough to be in that system. You don't have to be an elite quarterback when you're surrounded by all those good players. So
I think so too, but I think them losing that many guys requires Garoppolo to step up to the plate, and I haven't seen enough to. The 49ers are good enough to make the Super Bowl. There's some holes. There's been some injuries. Super Bowl hangover. I don't. I'm gonna err on this. They're good enough talent wise to make it, especially that defense is so fucking loaded. But I'm gonna go like with history and the fact that Super Bowl hangover over the course of time, history wise, always affects teams poorly.
So what do you think for wins?
I think they're really close to the Rams. I think they'll make wild card, like I said. I think they'll probably have 9-10 wins.
I'll go above that for sure. I'm thinking more like 11 or 12.
Okay.
I love Shanahan as a coach. He's got something really good there. John Lynch is a GM, so I think they're poised for another sick run next year for sure.
I think the one thing about them losing with Shanahan is that he now has a big chip on his shoulder, and I think long term that's going to do great things for him. And I think this team, like I said, if the Super Bowl slump doesn't affect them, they could win the division. They're that good. They could make it to the Super Bowl, no problem.
Yeah, I got them winning the division for sure.
It's how big is that hangover is a question.
What do you want to move on next to?
You want to go NFC? You want to do North or South? Up to you.
We'll start with do South.
Okay.
Start with the Bucks. So last year they were 7-9. Obviously, everyone knows they got Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, and Leonard Fournette.
Is so stacked offensively. It's crazy.
Oh, even defensively too. They got sick roster. One of the best rosters in the NFL.
I am so excited to watch them and the Saints play twice.
Open the year, they play each other on Sunday.
It's gonna be so much fun to watch.
They got Evans and Godwin, who are both Pro Bowlers.
Yep.
So Godwin had 86 catches for 1,300 yards and 9 touchdowns. Evan had 67 for 1,157 and 8 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. The tight ends are great. We said Gronk. They also have Cameron Brate and O.J. Howard, who O.J. Howard I think is going to be the standout here. He just needs more consistency. Mm-hmm. And even though they brought in Fournette, Ronald Jones is going to get the majority of the workload, but it's going to be, they're pretty much loaded everywhere you go. Yep. They were number one. Their defense was number one against the rush last year.
Yep.
They have Shaq Barrett, the sack leader, JPP. Now, here's the thing for me. The biggest question mark is the secondary. They were the worst on third downs last year. But here's where all that changes. They got Todd Bowles, who I really love as a defensive coordinator. I think he gets those guys right. You got to play the Saints twice. I give them 11 wins.
So you think the Saints win the division?
Yeah, oh yeah. The continuity is too good in my mind for the Saints.
The Saints got some bad juju, bro.
Oh, for sure they do, but they can't keep going forever.
Yeah.
You know?
I wonder, this is obviously it's either Bucks or Saints.
Oh, sorry. They also play the 16th toughest schedule, too. So
Really?
Yeah.
So I'm looking at it right here. They play Saints, Panthers, Broncos.
That's based on winning percentage of combined last year's wins.
Okay, so Saints, tough, obviously.
They're losing that first game to the Saints, for sure.
Yeah, Packers. And they play the Saints again. LA Rams, Chiefs. They play. Oh yeah, okay. So it's all there's really just no slackers that they play apart from New York. So yeah, that actually is. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's either going to be Saints or Bucks, and I think because we haven't seen OTAs, we haven't seen preseason. I have no clue how this is going to work out because it's basically a super team, right? You've assembled just a bunch of guys, and management with the Bucks has gone all in on this year,
for sure.
Which I think is 100% the way to do it. And I think by week 2 or 3, we're going to know how well these guys mesh.
See, I'm thinking a bit later. I think they're going to start getting good around American Thanksgiving.
You think so?
Yeah, I think everyone's just too new with each other. You're not going to come out clicking, I don't think, just like that. It's going to take a few games.
I think, but you're going to be able to see flashes of it. I think by game 3, So right now I'm gonna say Saints are gonna win the division, but it very easily could be the Bucks. I think if the Bucks even start to click, they can make the Super Bowl. They're that good.
Oh, for sure they're that good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's next?
You want to do the Saints then, since we're talking about them?
Sure. Last year 13-3. So we talked about the heartbreak. So the last 3
year
seasons,
after year after year after year, dude.
So first it was the Minneapolis Miracle. Second was the infamous no call on the pass interference against the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
And then again last year, my Vikings upset them again. So on paper they got the best top 3 probably roster in the league.
Yep.
One of the most prolific offenses, one of the best coaches, Sean Payton.
One of the best quarterbacks of all time.
Like they lose Drew Brees last year and go 5-0.
Mm-hmm.
You have Michael Thomas, who was the offensive player of the year.
Yep.
They added Emmanuel Sanders too, which is huge. Kamara is, I think, before the injuries last year, he was exceptional. I think he's going to get back there again.
Yep.
You got Drew Brees obviously coming back. And their O-line is one of the best in the league too.
Yep.
So, and going to defense, they got Cam Jordan, Marshawn Lattimore, Demario Davis. They had 51 sacks last year, their highest output in the Sean Payton era and largest since 2001. And they've gone 43 straight games without allowing a 100-yard rusher.
Mm-hmm.
So, I got them winning the division. I think 12 wins, I think they'll go for.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you on anything there.
They got 5 primetime games this year, too. Tied for the most in the league, I believe.
They're playing obviously the Bucks are both going to be primetime games. Then they have 49ers game. They have a Chiefs game. Yeah. Yeah, this team's going to be really good.
And only the 24th toughest schedule in the league, so.
Yeah, this team's going to be really, really good.
What about you? Got anything to add to that, bro?
No, dude, you summed it up perfectly.
What do you want to talk about next?
Let's go Panthers. This is going to be an interesting year for them.
I think it's going to be a big struggle.
Yeah, I have no idea how this is really going to turn out. I like Matt Rule. I think he was really successful in college. But this is his first NFL gig, so it's going to be tough. Teddy Bridgewater obviously proved himself, but new quarterback, new system, new coach, new everything. It never really tends to work out well. I think you're right where they're going to struggle. It'll just be how quickly can this team gel together. If they can start to build some momentum by the end of the season, I think next year they're going to be looking decent. But this year I think it's going to be a bit of a clusterfuck.
So last year they finished 5-11. They're the youngest team in the division for sure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, Bridgewater, I've seen him in Minnesota. I actually think he's going to do pretty decent. I love DJ Moore, the wide receiver. And they also picked up Robbie Anderson, who was the one good player on the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can't forget about Run CMC, Christian McCaffrey.
Yep.
He alone
can win you a few
games. So, yeah, he became the third player in the NFL to eclipse 1,000-yard in both rushing and receiving, joining only Marshall Faulk and Roger Craig. So
that's wild.
Defense is definitely going to have some question marks. Kuechly's gone.
There's just too many holes.
Secondary is pretty weak. I say maybe 3, maybe 4 wins. It's just going to be growing pains for first-year coach.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is understandable. But yeah, so I don't think they're going to be good.
Yeah, I think Raider. I think maybe a couple more wins. I think actually, you know what? Just looking at their schedule, like he might be right on that. 5 games sounds about right. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. 5 games sounds about right. And you're right. And that is what the season's gonna be. It's just gonna be growing pains. Just too many new faces, too many holes. Just there's no way that they're gonna be successful.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough, man.
Yeah.
It's gonna be tough. Even the best coaches kind of struggle, you know. So
yeah, for sure.
I think they got a good one in Rule, but yeah, it's gonna be a struggle.
Yeah. Falcons. I don't even. This team is just all over the place.
So they definitely got some weapons. Now they finished 7-9 last year. You got former NFL MVP Matt Ryan.
Todd Gurley they picked up.
They got Dante Fowler. And they traded for Hayden Hurst, which is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm not really sold on Dan Quinn, their coach. I honestly thought he would be fired by now, but and then you can't forget too. We're forgetting Julio Jones.
Yep.
and Calvin Ridley, Russell Gage, and Laquan Tedrow. So they got receivers for sure.
They have weapons on offense. Big
But I
time.
find like Matt Ryan picks up like his stats always look good, but it's like
It's
he
always
picks up a
garbage
lot of
time.
that shit in garbage time.
Yeah.
You know, where defense are soft, they're gonna give you whatever, you know, the big gains, but as long as they don't give up the touchdown. So
Yeah, exactly.
coming back on D is Keanu Neal. He missed last year with a torn Achilles. It's gonna be tough for them though. I think they got the 5th toughest schedule. When you gotta play Brady, Breeze twice each.
It's hard.
I think around 7 wins there for those guys.
Yeah, I think that's about right too. I even could see them even actually going to win a little less, maybe even 5 or 6.
Their offense is pretty like Julio and Ridley. Those guys will win you a game.
Yeah, they will
for sure. So.
But they have a hard schedule. They play
5th toughest. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like even just looking at this, like obviously Saints and Bucks twice, but then they also play Seahawks, Cowboys, Packers, Vikings, Chargers, Chiefs too in there. So like that, I'm even thinking like 4 or 5 wins. I really don't think this is gonna be a good season for Atlanta.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
And the last division is the NFC North. Where do you want to start?
Start obviously with the Vikings. What do you mean, man? Come on, man. Where are we gonna start? So in the 6
tell me how
years,
this team's gonna win.
eh?
Tell me how this team's gonna win.
I got him lower than a lot of the other so-called experts. But so since Zimmer's been here in 6 years, we've alternated missing the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
Defense is always great. It's the offense that we kind of have a issue with usually. So Stefanski's gone. We talked about it. In comes Gary Kubiak. They were already running his zone blocking scheme anyway, so it's not like it's going to be super new. Last year, Cousins played fucking phenomenal, actually.
Yep, he did.
Lost Diggs, though, so Adam Thielen's our number one. We got B.C. Johnson. We drafted Justin Jefferson. We got Irv Smith Jr. Kyle Rudolph's always teams are always trying to trade for him, so he's a good tight end.
He's
And then we also got Dalvin Cook, who can change the game. The reason why Cousins did so well is because of Cook. Now on the defense, we lost pretty much all of our secondary, which to me is like
a big deal.
For sure. Like we have kids there now, which by all means, I've heard they've had an excellent training camp. They have Gladney, Dantzler, who's played huge. So I'm very interested to see what they do. Linebackers are great with Kendricks and Barr.
Yep.
Now, they also just signed Yannick Ngakoue from Jaguars. Now, this is where it's going to be interesting. So he's going to line up opposite of Daniil Hunter, who, if anyone doesn't know, has the most sacks by anyone who's 25 years old. So starting his career just crazy. So you got both those guys coming off the edge. It's going to be pretty scary. So maybe our corners don't have to be as solid.
Because they're getting to the rest of the passer.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So we'll see. I think there's going to be growing pains for them this year, actually. I got them for maybe 10 wins.
Growing pains and 10 wins.
It's going to be tough 10 wins.
I think Kirk Cousins put up really good numbers because when you have players like Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs running apart from each other, they basically open each other up on offense, especially when you mix in Kyle Rudolph and Dalvin Cook as well. I think losing Diggs forces Adam Thielen to be a true number one wide receiver, and I haven't seen that out of him.
Oh, I have for sure.
I always thought Diggs was a little bit better in my opinion, but that's just me. Like I said, I think they open it up. I think this is still a really, really solid team, and I think if the secondary holds up, they very well could challenge for the division with Green Bay.
I think it's Green Bay's division, to be honest.
I think it is their division to lose, but I think Green Bay has problems of their own. I think both teams have holes. It's just whoever's holes aren't as big of a problem as the other. You know what I mean? Like, so I think it could go either way, Vikings or Green Bay. I think they're both solid teams. I think the Vikings are extremely well run as an organization. They're always right there in contention. They're always relevant.
Definitely no problems with management for sure.
It'll just how well can Adam Thielen be a number one wide receiver? Dalvin Cook's got to be even more of a monster than he already is. And yes, just about that secondary. That's about it.
Yeah, definitely is a biggest question.
I don't think 10 wins though. I think more around 9-7 mark. But like I said, if Green Bay shits the bed a little bit, then yeah, I could see 10 wins.
Talking about the Packers.
Yep.
So 13-3 last year. They went 8-1 in games decided by one score. So that's not going to get replicated this year.
No, I think they overachieved last year, wins wise.
So Aaron Jones, sick runner. He led the NFL in touchdowns and total touchdowns. And Rodgers, for everyone, like I hear a lot of people saying he's washed. He's coming off the only 2 seasons in NFL history of 4,000 plus yards and 25 touchdowns and 4 or fewer picks. So their problem again is giving him weapons. They got Devontae Adams, who's really good.
Yeah.
But then your number 2 is Alan Lazard, and like no disrespect to Lazard, like.
Oh no, give that disrespect, bro.
You know, you kind of would think that they would give Aaron Rodgers something a bit more than that. You know.
I think this is an issue with Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur, he wants to move away from Aaron Rodgers, and obviously Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers. I think it's one of those things where it's like, it's just a weird situation because Rodgers is nearing the end of his career, but he hasn't really declined that much yet. And so it's hard. Matt LaFleur is wanting to move away, and so he's not giving Rodgers weapons, and that's frustrating Rodgers. But they have weapons, and they have a good team. Like I said, it's between them and the Vikes, and like you said, there's not a clear-cut number 2 wide receiver. So can Rodgers keep producing at the rate he's still producing? If he can, then they're poised to make another run.
I think he's got a lot of football left.
I think so too.
And now defensively, they're fucking sick though.
Yep.
They got this quote-unquote Smith brothers who combined for 25.5 sacks. Also got Jair Alexander and Kevin King in the secondary. Their problem last year was stopping the run. They lost Blake Martinez, who signed with the Giants, I believe. He was like their top tackler. So that's probably the biggest hole on them.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to do 13 wins. I'll give them 11, one more than the Vikes.
I think that sounds about right. I think Vikes will be right around 9-10, and Pax will be around 10-11. It'll be close. Like I said, if Aaron Rodgers takes a step back this year, which it doesn't look like he's going to, then the Vikings can snag the division. But if he keeps playing at the level he's playing at, I think it's a Pax division.
You want to talk Lions?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
So last year, 3-12.
Mm-hmm.
Stafford was hurt there, right?
Yeah, he was.
Before being sidelined, though, he was second in the NFL in touchdown passes.
He was.
So he was having a really fucking.
He was
good
having
year.
it like he was in the MVP conversation early in the year. Last year, he was having a really good season.
Their receivers are sick too. They got Golladay, Jones, Amendola, Hawkinson.
Mm-hmm.
Question mark on offense is definitely the line. We'll see how it goes.
Yep.
And for being a defensive-minded head coach, Patricia, question marks on how he's been so far. I don't think he's been that great.
I'm on the same boat. I'm not sold on Patricia at all. Yeah, he hasn't impressed me in any way.
They added Collins, Trufant, drafted Jeff Okuda. I don't trust them though. They always underperform.
Mm-hmm.
Too much turnover on defense. I'm thinking like around 5 wins.
Yeah, the Lions are one of those teams where like on paper you're like this team should be solid, but they just never play that to that level. Yeah, I don't really know what to make of them. They're either like ceiling 8-8, floor 4-12. They'll probably be somewhere in the middle there.
And then we got the Bears, yeah.
Yeah, what do you think? I think they've mismanaged the Nick Foles Trubisky situation so poorly. Like, I think it was such a shit show. I am so not a fan of Mitch Trubisky whatsoever.
Nobody is.
And I think this is a scenario where the GM and the Bears front office is unwilling to admit that they made a mistake, and so they're holding on. Where it's like you need to be handing over the reins to Nick Foles. I think Matt Nagy is such a good head coach. I think that year where the Bears did well, I think it was 2 years ago, where they won the division, or 3 years ago.
Yeah, the year before last year.
Yeah, and I think they won that division not based on skill, but all because of Matt Nagy and his schemes and his setups. I want them to get rid of Trubisky. I want them to hand over the reins to Nick Foles and see what Matt Nagy can do with him.
Agreed on the Trubisky part. I actually want them to keep Trubisky so Vikings can beat him. That's the only reason.
Yes, sir.
Foles, I think, should be winning that job. Now, here's the thing, too. So, if you're like super hyped on somebody, as apparently they are on Trubisky, they sent out the news clip Friday afternoon before a long weekend, and you only send out news clips on that time and when you want people to not hear about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they picked the most quiet time to be like, oh, this guy's a starting quarterback.
Yeah.
I really like Allen Robinson. Also David Montgomery, running back's really good. They got Jimmy Graham is whatever.
Yep.
Defense ranked 4th in points allowed last year and 1st in 2018. So you got Trevathan and Roquan Smith and linebackers. They also failed to take the ball away last year. In 28, they dominated. But last year, they couldn't replicate it. They went from 27 to 10 on picks.
Okay.
So we'll see how it goes. I'm hoping for a brutal year, obviously, because they're in my division. I think I can pencil them in for about 7 wins.
Yeah, I think.
And they also have Eddie Jackson and Kyle Fuller in the secondary, some of the best at their positions for sure.
Yeah, like I said, I think if they rolled the Nick Foles train and let him take all the snaps in training camp, I think they could actually they have an outside shot at making wild card. But I think sticking with Trubisky, it's going to kill them. Even if they change Nick Foles midway through the season, I think it's such a shit show.
Also, Khalil Mack has to have a bounce back year. He only had 8.5 sacks.
Yeah, I think he does though. I think the Bears defense.
Well, they brought in Robert Quinn, so it's going to balance out the rush. So I think that'll help Khalil for sure.
I think their defense is going to be unreal this year. I think it's going to be the Bears defense from 2 years ago. So
I'm definitely the defense for sure. I'm sold on.
Yeah, so I think they actually have a decent season. For me, if they get Trubisky out of there quick, if you underperform in the first 2-3 games, the thing is they play the Lions, Giants, Falcons, so he could actually look decent the first 3 games, and then they keep him in there for too long. And then
I think they're 1-2 after the first 3.
Yeah, I hope so, because then Foles gets a shot, and I really like Nick Foles, so we'll see. But I think they keep Trubisky in there too long, and I think they end up with 6 wins.
Yeah, I think it's time to move on from him. But
yeah,
whatever, keep him. He's in my division. Super stoked.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
that about does it. Let's get you out of here before you die on me.
Fucking gonna die. All right, let's fucking get out of here.
All right, everybody. That was good. That was an hour and 45 minutes. Good shit. Highly unlikely pod everywhere. I'll see you guys next week.
Peace.